Hello. Today we're going to be talking about climate zones of the world. Now, there's a couple terms we need to know before we get into this. Precipitation means rain, snow, or other forms of moisture. A climate zone is an area with a particular pattern of temperature and precipitation. And a climate graph is a graph that shows climate data. So, the first question we have is what is climate? Climate is the average condition of the atmosphere over a long period of time. This includes average temperature, average precipitation, and the amount of change from one season to another. There are four factors that affect climate. The first is latitude. Places at high latitudes experience more change between winter and summer. Places close to the equator have nearly the same temperature throughout the year. The second is elevation. Places at higher elevation have generally colder temperatures than places close to sea level. Prevailing winds are winds that are coming from one direction that blow most of the time. In Florida, for example, the prevailing winds come from the south, making a warm climate even hotter. Finally, you have ocean currents. The Gulf Stream, for example, is a current that carries warm water from the Caribbean Sea towards Europe. Air passing over that water becomes warm and helps create a mild winter climate in England and Ireland. All right, so there is a difference between weather and climate. They are different, but they both influence life on Earth. So right here, you see two maps. On the left, you have a climate region map. Now, notice that there's lots of different climate regions in this map. You've got humid temperate with a dry season. In the summer, you've got no dry season. You've got unclassified. You've got dry semi-arid. You've got dry arid. You've got humid cold. But if you look at the weather map, you can see how many different climate areas or climate zones have the same weather. And that's because weather is different than climate. Remember, climate and weather are different, but they both influence life on Earth. All right, so now we're going to look at the types of climate. There's a lot of different names for types of climate. We're not going to get into them all today. You will be doing some later this week, later this unit, and we'll be talking about climate pretty much all year. So, here are some of the types of climate. We have humid equatorial, dry, humid temperate, humid cold, and then you've got tundra or ice and unclassified. Now, these are all general categories. There are definitely more specific climates than just these. Let's look at dry climates first. Dry climates have little to no rain or snow, and they have both hot and cold temperatures. So deserts, you think of them as super hot. Well, deserts can also be cold. Technically, Antarctica is a type of desert. It's arid. Plant life might include shrubs and cacti where it grows at all. So one example of an arid climate is in Namibia. This is a climate graph. So you can see the average temperature is pretty high, and the average precipitation is pretty low in inches. So for example, in January, the average temperature is about, I'd say 77, but they get very little rain per year. So if you look over on this side over here, you're going to see it's only about 3 inches of rain. So an arid climate can be super hot with low rain. I mean, look at July and August. There's no rain, which is pretty darn sad, but it's also their cooler time. So the next one we've got is humid temperate. Humid temperate climates have cool winters, warm summers, and lots of rain. Plant life includes mixed forests, evergreens, and leafy trees. You might hear the terms coniferous forest or deciduous forest thrown around, boreal forest. Those are all going to be included in this. So one example of a humid temperate climate is a Mediterranean climate. A Mediterranean climate is warm all year, but it has dry summers and short rainy winters. Next, we have humid equatorial. Humid equatorial climates are found near the equator. They have high temperatures and rainfall all or most of the year. Plant life includes tropical plants and rainforests or grasslands with trees. One example of a humid equatorial is a tropical wet climate. This is they're hot and rainy all year long. You might think of a rainforest with a tropical wet climate. Next, we have the tundra or ice. This should be self-explanatory. They're north of the Arctic Circle, south of the Antarctic Circle. They have long, cold winters and short summers. They have no vegetation other than some moss. So, Nome, Alaska is one example of a tundra climate. Nome, Alaska has very cold winters, cold summers, and little rain or snow. Antarctica is an ice cap climate. It's very cold all year with permanent ice and snow. Next, we have humid cold climates. Humid cold climates have cold winters, warm summers, and rain and snow. Plant life includes evergreen or deciduous or leafy forests. So here's some examples of a humid cold climate. You've got humid continental, like you find in Minneapolis. You've got warm, rainy summers and cool, snowy winters. But if you've ever been to Minnesota, you know it's really just cold. But you also have subarctic climate, like Archangel, Alaska, which has cold, snowy winters and cool, rainy summers. Those are both examples of humid, cold climates. Finally, we have unidentified or highlands. Now, sometimes these are rain shadows where the rain basically doesn't get there because it's a fight over mountains. You're going to find a lot of the unidentified or highland climates around mountains. So we've got La Paz, Bolivia as an unidentified or highland climate. The temperature and precipitation of highland climates vary because of their latitude and elevation. So the latitude is not indicative of what the climate's like because the elevations vary so much.